not holy.
How does the changing lead to the suffering?
Because why come from suffering? Because change.
Where does suffering come from? It
Even
comes
not
from
changing, not
change.
suffering.
If nothing
Sometimes
ever
people
changed,
is early
there would be
morning
no
is
suffering.
Very healthy.
For example, sometimes someone
someone
might
has
be
to
very
exercise
healthy in the morning.
To 1
Then
hour,
after maybe only an
already
hour,
change.
they get in an accident,
healthy.
and there is already change.
Serious condition.
So the reason
Reason
he
he is
is then suffering is what?
Why?
Because of
change.
change.
Minute to minute and hour changing.
Minute to minute and hour by hour, things are constantly changing.
Like
That is the nature of the
level.
conventional level.
If change always causes suffering and everything around us change,
Yeah,
then how do you ever stop suffering?
that needs to be unchanged, and automatic level.
You need to be
Yes.
capable of being
Yes,
aware
reality level.
of the changeless nature of reality
You-
at the ultimate level. You recognize the inherent emptiness of existence. You perceive that directly through the path of seeing. Then there is no more illusion and no more suffering.
no more changing.
You were talking about, killing out your emotions.
Yeah.
You said that sort of thing. What do you do? How would someone, let's say, who's angry all the time? They always find themselves angry at the world. How do you get out of that?
The mental is.
This is
the,
really
you
a
know,
problem of your illusions, of
mental
your
have
mind.
problem.
There are mental or emotional
One-
problems that cause people some
cause of
damage.
Emotional
There are those
problem,
problems.
cause of
Yes, there are
nerve-
problems of a
nervous
physical
channels
nature, and
from
doctors can
damage.
address them. But
gas
as for
problem.
the
That's
emotional
true, but
components,
damage
can
has
doctors
already
really
part
fix
of
those
these
things?
special things. They
People
fix
need to
the
understand the nature of truth and suffering.
The
They need
emotional
to understand their emotions, but they
doctor
usually
cannot
don't know
fix
how this
because
works.
they need instruction.
They think that someone
Why
external to
cause
them is
suffering?
mad at them.
He and herself emotional. They don't know. They think it's outside mad me. Someone asked doing it. Then they're angry all the way. Then mind's going crazy. So need to be understand to Buddhist philosophy, Buddha's teach why this suffering emotions comes from your he and her mind. Need to be understand. Then he and her mind control emotional, then be less angry and less jealousy, hatred. They not be more emotional bad things.
Let's say someone who's angry, someone's always mad because someone's always doing something bad to them, and someone's always cutting them off on the highway or whatever.
Yeah.
Are they creating all of that anger in their mind, and then they just get the rest of the world to give it to them?
Because they don't know really. They only did study.
People retain these negative emotions because they don't really know about Buddhist philosophy and instruction. They may have studied many other things or learned a lot about science or technology, and some of those things are very useful to us all, but they still haven't received really the proper instruction to have a more stable mind. They just haven't gotten very good instruction. They simply don't understand the relationship between emotions and suffering and the fact that all of this comes from their own minds. They hope that they can ask someone else and that that other person can solve their problems for them or do this for them. So they remain angry or upset, or even a little bit crazy, because there is a basic misunderstanding. They need to be clear about doing the right things, fighting their internal emotions. They need to know how to fight their own internal battles. Not how to kill other people, their brothers and sisters. Everyone is our brother and sister. The differences we perceive are only inside our own minds. We really need to pray. Pray for mental clarification.
If I was, let's say, I personally just found myself angry all the time, and I came to you, I said, Khempo, I'm angry all the time, and this person did this, but I'm tired of being angry all the time.
Yeah, I think so. That's true, because sometimes you coming like that. Because why you angry?
Yeah, sometimes we find ourselves angry or upset. Sometimes that just happens. And you wonder why you are angry. Maybe you're working very hard and you are tired. Then you get angry or upset. It happens like that, right? But then maybe you need to take a little rest, feel nice and happy, and then you'll calm down. You can use that as a method, you know, because you see that really it all depends upon your mind. Your mind is very important. In order to understand this, you need some education and some wisdom. Once you recognize this misunderstanding inside you, you can clear your mind, and then you'll feel better.
Okay, I want to ask a little bit about the concept of attachment to desire. And I read somewhere recently they said that attachment to the desire is really the same thing as being addicted to an emotion.
Yeah, emotional, but attachment is just you see object, subject, then comes
Emotions
to be,
are not
oh,
bad per se, but with attachment, once you distinguish between subject and object, then feelings or desires start to arise. Really, there are just three feelings. One is pleasure, one is suffering, one is neutral. So, as a subject, whenever you see any object, you establish a relationship and possibly an attachment. So, as a feeling does arise, let's say this feeling is pleasurable, then you experience more attachment. From that attachment, and either the clinging to the pleasurable experience or its possible loss, comes your feeling of suffering. Ultimately, you want to even be free of that and be neutral. That is wisdom, just being neutral.
So this is the part of the ignoring. So best
Whether
idea
life,
is suffering
death,
is
or in the midst of any activities, just being neutral.
but it's wrong.
Not understanding this is ignorance.
But the
So the best idea is that if suffering comes, just turn away. But it is more difficult than that. So we need to understand approaches to go beyond suffering. We need to grow the wisdom to learn how to abandon suffering. No one likes suffering. No people, no sentient beings like suffering. So they're all looking at how they can abandon it. Every sentient being is looking for pleasure. But then there also comes an attachment, and this attachment is making the next suffering. It is the cause of suffering. So we need to abandon this. Less attachment, less suffering.
Need to be balanced. To be hard to slow.
We need to strike a balance. We need to know how to slowly abandon suffering. We need to know how to abandon suffering and how to abandon attachment. Attachment is the cause of all our suffering.
But we don't know.
But this is the very thing that we don't know. Even if you create pleasure or pleasurable emotions, these feelings then create this attachment or desire, and that again is the cause of suffering.
So how does the attachment cause the suffering? Because I'm thinking if I was someone sitting in the audience listening to this,